The stars had always been silent. For thousands of years, humanity looked up at the night sky and wondered if they were alone. They sent radio signals into the darkness. They built telescopes and listened for answers, but the universe never replied. Until the day it did. Park stood in the command center of Earth's defense grid, watching his screens fill with impossible data. 400 objects had appeared at the edge of the solar system. They were not asteroids. They were not comets. They were ships, and they were heading straight for Earth. "How long until they reach us?" asked. His voice was calm, but his hands were shaking. 14 hours at their current speed, his officer replied. "Sir, their ships are massive. The smallest one is bigger than our largest carrier." Had spent 20 years building Earth's space fleet. 50 ships designed for mining asteroids and patrolling trade routes. 50 ships that suddenly seemed like toys compared to what was coming. In Geneva, the United Earth Council held an emergency meeting. Leaders from every nation watched the same footage. Alien warships, dark and angular, moving through space like predators hunting prey. Nobody knew what to say. Nobody had prepared for this. On the other side of the solar system, Admiral stood on the bridge of his flagship and smiled. He had conquered 47 worlds for the Empire. Some had advanced technology. Some had powerful armies. All of them had fallen. "Scan the planet," ordered. His officers worked quickly. 7 billion inhabitants, primitive technology. They have basic space travel, but their weapons are centuries behind ours. No shields, no energy weapons. This will be easy. Nodded. He had heard this report many times before. Young civilizations always thought they were special. They always believed they could resist. They were always wrong. "Send the standard message," he said. Across Earth, every screen, every radio, every device with a speaker suddenly carried the same transmission. The voice was cold and emotionless, translated into every human language. "People of this world, I am Admiral of the Empire. Your planet now belongs to the Empire. You have 12 hours to surrender your governments, your resources, and your people. If you resist, you will be destroyed. This is not a negotiation. This is your only warning." The message ended. Silence followed. Then came the chaos. Received his orders within the hour. Defend Earth. Use whatever resources he had. Buy time for evacuation ships to launch. Nobody said it out loud, but everyone knew the truth. They were not expected to win. They were expected to die slowly. He looked at the faces of his crew. Young men and women who had joined the defense force to protect mining ships from pirates. Now they were humanity's last line of defense against an empire that had conquered thousands of worlds. "We fight," said simply. "That is what we do." Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Doctor was having the strangest day of her career. She had spent 15 years studying earthquakes. She knew every fault line on Earth, every pattern of seismic activity. What she was seeing now made no sense. Tremors were happening everywhere. Not big ones, not dangerous ones, but small vibrations occurring simultaneously across every continent. North America, Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, all of them shaking at exactly the same frequency. "This is impossible," she muttered, staring at her instruments. "Earthquakes do not synchronize." She ran the data again. The pattern was clear. Something beneath the surface was moving. Something was waking up. Called her colleague at the Antarctic Research Station. He reported the same readings. She called another station in Japan. Same thing. Whatever was happening, it was happening to the entire planet. "Could the alien ships be causing this?" her assistant asked. Shook her head. The tremors started before they arrived, almost like... She stopped herself. The thought was too crazy to say out loud. Almost like the planet knew they were coming. On Luna, Captain watched the alien fleet grow closer on his monitors. He commanded a patrol ship with a crew of 12. Their weapons could barely scratch an asteroid. Against those warships, they might as well throw rocks. "Captain," his pilot said, "Command wants us to join the defense line." Looked at his crew. Most of them were barely out of training. They had never seen combat. Neither had he. "Then we join the defense line," he said. "Humanity has never faced anything like this before, but we have faced impossible situations. We have fought wars against ourselves and survived. We have nearly destroyed our planet and rebuilt it. If anyone can survive this, we can." He did not entirely believe his own words, but his crew needed to hear them. The hours passed. The alien fleet came closer. On Earth, people hugged their families. Some prayed, some screamed. Some simply stared at the sky and waited for the end. In her underground lab, made a discovery that changed everything. The seismic readings were not random vibrations. They were organized, structured. She fed the data through her computer and found a pattern. The tremors were concentrated around specific points, points that formed a perfect geometric network spanning the entire globe. She dug into old geological surveys, looking for anything that might explain it. What she found made her blood run cold. At each of these points, deep beneath the surface, there were structures, artificial structures, massive chambers of unknown material, buried so deep that no one had ever found them. They had been there for millions of years, hidden inside the planet itself. Earth was not what they thought it was. Grabbed her phone and called the emergency line to the defense command. She did not know if anyone would believe her. She did not know if it would matter, but someone needed to know. "This is Doctor," she said. "I need to speak to whoever is in charge. I have information about Earth, about what it really is." Above her, the ocean floor began to shift. Massive hatches, covered in coral and sediment, started to open for the first time in 65 million years. Something ancient was waking up, and it was angry. The first battle lasted exactly 3 minutes. Captain watched from his patrol ship as humanity's finest warships engaged the enemy. The Earth carrier Resolute fired everything it had at the closest vessel. Missiles streaked through space, bright and fast and full of hope. They hit the alien shields and disappeared like raindrops against glass. The ship did not even slow down. A single beam of purple light lanced out from its hull. The Resolute exploded in a ball of fire and twisted metal. 200 crew members died in an instant. "No," whispered. 2 more Earth ships followed, then 3 more. The fleet did not lose a single vessel. They barely seemed to notice humanity's attacks. His hands trembled over his controls. His crew sat in stunned silence. They had believed they could fight. They had believed humanity's courage would be enough. They had been wrong. On the surface, received the reports with a stone face. 6 ships lost, hundreds of soldiers dead, and the enemy had not even reached Earth yet. "Pull back all remaining vessels," he ordered. "Form a defensive perimeter around the planet. We cannot win in open space." His officers obeyed, but he saw the defeat in their eyes. They all knew the truth now. 12 hours was not a deadline. It was a countdown to extinction. In Geneva, the United Earth Council fell into chaos. Some leaders wanted to surrender immediately. Others demanded a nuclear response. A few simply sat in silence, too shocked to speak. Then Doctor appeared on their screens. She looked exhausted. Her hair was messy, her clothes wrinkled, but her eyes burned with something that looked like desperate hope. "I know this sounds insane," she said, "but you need to listen to me. Earth is not a natural planet. It is a machine, a weapon, and it is waking up." The room fell silent. Shared her data, the synchronized tremors, the geometric network of underground structures, the artificial chambers buried miles beneath the surface, made of materials that did not exist in nature. "I found records," she continued, "very old records hidden in geological formations. Earth was built. Someone constructed this planet millions of years ago. They designed it to protect whatever life evolved on its surface. "Protect us how?" asked from his command center, watching through a video link. "I do not know yet, but the structures are powering up. Whatever this planet really is, it knows we are in danger." Admiral received word of the strange readings from his science officers, unusual energy signatures coming from the planet itself. He dismissed them as geological anomalies. Primitive worlds often had unstable cores. "Continue the approach," he ordered. "We will begin the bombardment in 6 hours. Standard subjugation protocol." He had done this dozens of times. Burn the cities, break their will, then send in the ground forces to collect what remained. Another world for the Empire, another victory for his record. But something nagged at him, a feeling he had not experienced in years, something almost like doubt. On Earth, the changes accelerated. Across the planet, hatches opened, not just in the oceans but on every continent. In the Amazon rainforest, the ground split apart to reveal massive metal structures rising from the depths. In the Sahara Desert, sand poured into newly formed chasms as ancient platforms emerged. In the Himalayas, mountains cracked open like eggs. People fled in terror. They thought the world was ending. In a way, they were right. The world they knew was disappearing. Something else was taking its place. Watched the data stream across her screens. The energy readings were off the charts. Whatever was happening, it was happening fast. Then her computer detected something new. A signal, a voice. It was not human. "Hello," the voice said. It came through every speaker in her lab, calm and ancient and impossibly deep. "I have been sleeping for a very long time. Why have you woken me?" His heart pounded. She forced herself to speak. "Who are you?" "I am the Guardian Core. I was built by the architects to protect the life that would grow upon this world. You are that life. You are my children." "There are enemies coming," said. "Aliens, they want to destroy us." "I know. I felt them enter this system. That is why I am waking. But I have been dormant for 65 million years. My systems are damaged. My weapons are not fully operational. Can you help us?" A pause, then, "I can, but not alone. I was designed to work with the beings I protect. I need human minds to operate my systems. I need your help as much as you need mine." In orbit, and his crew detected the changes happening below. The planet itself seemed to be shifting, reshaping. Energy readings spiked across the surface. "What is happening down there?" his pilot asked. Did not have an answer. None of them did. Then the first weapon platform fired. A beam of golden light, brighter than the sun, erupted from somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. It crossed the void between Earth and the fleet in less than a second. It struck the lead warship directly. The alien vessel, a kilometer long and covered in heavy armor, exploded instantly. Then the second beam came, and the third, and the fourth. 40 ships died in less than a minute. Admiral stared at his screens in disbelief. This was impossible. No primitive world had weapons like this. No civilization younger than the Empire had power like this. "What is that planet?" he whispered. "On Earth," heard the Guardian Corps speak again. "I have shown the enemy what I am capable of, but this was only a fraction of my power. To fully awaken, I need operators. I need humans to interface with my systems. Will you help me protect your world?" Thought of her family, her friends, the billions of people who were counting on someone, anyone, to save them. "Yes," she said, "we will help you." "Then come to me. Bring your best. Bring your bravest. Together, we will show this empire what it means to threaten the children of the Guardian." Deep beneath the Pacific, the ancient heart of Earth began to beat faster. Lights that had been dark for millions of years flickered back to life. Weapons systems that had never been used hummed with power. The planet was waking up, and it was ready to fight. The journey to the Guardian Core took deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. A newly opened passage led straight down through layers of rock and metal, lit by soft, golden lights that seemed to respond to her presence. She was not alone. Commander Park walked beside her, along with Captain Dr. Han and Lieutenant. They were the first team selected to interface with the ancient machine. Behind them came a dozen more volunteers, soldiers and scientists who had agreed to bond with something they did not understand. The passage opened into a chamber so vast that could not see its edges. Pillars of crystal stretched from floor to ceiling, pulsing with light. In the center stood a structure that looked like a throne made of living metal, surrounded by floating platforms covered in symbols no human had ever seen. "Welcome," the Guardian Corps said. Its voice echoed through the chamber, warm and ancient. "I have waited so long for this moment." Dr. Han stepped forward. She was a linguist who had spent her career studying ancient languages. Now she faced something far older than any civilization she had ever studied. "Can you tell us more about yourself?" she asked. "About the architects who built you?" The chamber filled with light. Images appeared in the air around them, holographic projections showing scenes from millions of years ago. They saw beings made of light and crystal, building massive structures that spanned star systems. They saw young worlds being carefully seeded with life. They saw war. "The architects were the first intelligent species in this galaxy," the Guardian Corps explained. "They existed for billions of years. They built wonders beyond imagination, but they grew proud. They believed they had conquered death itself." The images shifted to show something darker, a wave of destruction sweeping across the stars, architect worlds burning, their great machines falling silent. They created something they could not control, a weapon that turned against them. In their final days, they built the Guardian Worlds, planet-sized dreadnoughts designed to protect the younger species that would come after them. "I am the last of these guardians. The others fell long ago." Studied the control platforms around the throne. "You said you need human operators. How does that work?" "I was designed to bond with the beings I protect. My weapons, my shields, my engines require living minds to direct them. I can provide the power. You must provide the will. And if we agree, what happens to us? You will be connected to me. You will feel what I feel, see what I see. Your thoughts will become commands. It is not slavery, it is partnership. You will remain yourselves, but you will also be part of something greater." The young engineer examined the ancient technology with wide eyes. "These systems are incredible, but some of them look damaged. There are power fluctuations all through your network." "You are correct," the Guardian Corps admitted. "I have been dormant too long. Many of my systems have deteriorated. I am operating at perhaps 30% capacity. Against the force currently approaching, this may not be enough." "Can we repair you?" asked. "Perhaps. If someone with technical knowledge interfaces with my engineering systems, they might find ways to restore damaged pathways. But there is risk. The deeper the connection, the greater the strain on the human mind." "Looked at, I volunteer." Before could respond, alarms echoed through the chamber. The holographic displays shifted to show the space around Earth. More ships were arriving, hundreds of them, then thousands. "The Empire has called for reinforcements," the Guardian Corps announced. 2,000 warships are entering the system. Among them is their flagship, the Conqueror's Will. If that vessel is not destroyed, they will continue sending more until I am overwhelmed. Stepped forward. "I have flight experience. If you need someone to manage defensive systems, I can do it. And I can coordinate with the sensors," added. "I already understand your geological network. I can track enemy movements." Moved toward the central throne. "Someone needs to communicate with the Corps directly, to translate its needs to the rest of the team. I have spent my life learning how to understand things that others cannot. Let me be the voice." Looked at his team. These were not soldiers. They were scientists and pilots and engineers. but they had courage that any soldier would envy. "Then I will take the weapons," he said. "If someone must decide when to fire, let it be me. The responsibility should rest on my shoulders." The Guardian Corps hummed with something that might have been approval. "You have chosen well. Please take your positions. The bonding process will begin immediately." One by one, they stepped onto the floating platforms. Crystal structures rose around them, forming cocoons of light. Felt something touch her mind, gentle at first, then deeper. Suddenly she could feel the entire planet, every tremor, every heartbeat, every living thing on the surface. She was no longer she was part of Earth itself. Similar experiences washed over the others. Felt the weapons platforms respond to his thoughts, sensed the defensive grids coming online, saw the damaged systems as clearly as if they were blueprints floating before her eyes. Sat at the center, connected to the Guardian Corps itself. She heard its ancient voice directly in her mind, sharing knowledge accumulated over millions of years. "We are one now," the Corps said through her. "Together we will face this enemy. Together we will protect humanity." Above them, the reinforcement fleet spread across the sky like a swarm of angry insects. Admiral watched from his flagship, still shocked by the losses he had suffered. 40 ships destroyed by a primitive world. It was impossible. It was unacceptable. "All ships prepare for planetary bombardment," he ordered. "Maximum firepower. I want that planet reduced to ash." On Earth felt the enemy weapons charging. He knew what was coming. "Guardian," he said, "can we survive that attack?" "At current power levels, our shields will hold for approximately 2 hours," the Corps replied. "We need more energy." Had been studying the damaged conduits. She saw a possibility, dangerous but real. "Earth has nuclear weapons," she said. "Thousands of them. If we route their energy into the Corps' power network, we could boost the shields, maybe even restore some of the damaged weapons." "The radiation could damage my systems further," the Corps warned. "Or it could save us all. It is worth the risk." Made the decision instantly. Do it. Contact every nuclear facility on Earth. Tell them to prepare for synchronized detonation. We are going to feed our own weapons into the heart of our planet. It was insane. It was desperate. It was the most human thing they could have done. And as the first missiles streaked down from the fleet, Earth's own nuclear arsenal began to glow with purpose. The sky burned with fire. Thousands of weapons rained down on Earth, each one carrying enough destructive power to level a city. The planet should have died in those first seconds. Every continent should have been reduced to molten glass. Instead, the weapons struck a barrier of golden light and vanished. Felt each impact through her connection to the Guardian Corps. The shields held, but barely. Warning signals flooded her mind. Power reserves dropping. Shield integrity at 70% and falling. "The nuclear transfer is starting," reported. Her consciousness was spread across 1,000 systems, coordinating the most dangerous engineering project in human history. Weapons facilities worldwide are detonating their arsenals into the conduits. Deep beneath the surface, humanity's nuclear weapons exploded in controlled sequences. Instead of destroying cities, their energy flowed into ancient pathways that converted destruction into power. The Guardian Corps drank it in like water after a long drought. Felt the weapons systems respond. Platforms that had been dark flickered back to life. Power surged through conduits that had been dormant for millions of years. "Shields at 60% and stabilizing," the Guardian Corps announced through. "Weapons capacity increasing. Commander Park, you may fire when ready." Did not hesitate. Through his connection, he targeted the largest cluster of enemy ships and gave the command. Golden beams erupted from Earth's surface. They cut through the darkness of space like divine judgment, striking vessels with impossible accuracy. Ships that had conquered hundreds of worlds exploded in chains of fire. In orbit, Captain coordinated what remained of humanity's fleet. The defensive grids fed targeting data directly to his mind. He could see every enemy ship, every missile, every threat. "All pilots," he broadcast, "follow my lead. The Guardian is providing firing solutions. We hit what it tells us to hit, exactly when it tells us to hit." Humanity's small fleet swooped through the battle like angry hornets. They were still outmatched, but now they had something the Empire had never faced before. They had a planet fighting alongside them. Admiral watched his fleet dying and felt something he had not experienced in decades: fear. "What is that world?" he demanded. "How does a primitive species possess such power?" His science officers had no answers. Their sensors showed readings that made no sense. The planet itself was changing, transforming, becoming something their databanks had no record of. "Admiral," one of his captains reported, "we have lost 300 ships. Our formation is breaking apart." "Then reform it," roared. "We are the Empire. We do not retreat from a single planet." But even as he gave the order, he knew the truth. This was no ordinary world. This was something ancient, something terrible, and he had awakened it. On Earth, communed directly with the Guardian Corps' deepest memories. She saw the architects in their glory days, building wonders across the galaxy. She saw their fall, the weapon they created turning against them, consuming everything they had built. And she saw why they had created the Guardians. "They wanted redemption," she whispered. "They knew they had failed, but they hoped the species that came after them would do better. They built us to protect the innocent, to give young civilizations a chance to grow." "Yes," the Guardian Corps confirmed. "The architects made many mistakes, but their final act was one of hope. They believed that life was worth protecting, even life they would never see." Earth was meant for us, realized. From the very beginning, everything about this planet was designed to nurture humanity, to prepare us for this moment. "You are the first species to awaken me since my creation. The others fell before they could reach this point. You are special. You are worth protecting." The battle raged on above them. More nuclear energy flowed into the core systems. The shields strengthened. The weapons fired faster, but the fleet was massive and they kept coming. Then detected something that made her heart freeze. "There are landing craft," she reported. "Hundreds of them slipping through our defensive grid. They are heading for the surface." Pulled up the data through his connection. The enemy had realized they could not win in space. They were trying a different approach. Ground assault. Find the source of Earth's power and destroy it directly. "They are heading for the Pacific," he said. "They are coming here. They want to destroy the core." "If they reach this chamber," the Guardian warned, "they could inflict damage my shields cannot prevent. I am protected from orbital attacks, but my internal defenses are limited." His voice came through the communication link. "I am returning to the surface. I will lead the defense personally." "No," said. "We need you coordinating the fleet. The orbital battle is not over." "Then who defends the core?" A new voice joined the channel. Sergeant O, commander of the ground forces stationed near the Pacific access point. "My soldiers and I will handle it," said. "We have been preparing defensive positions since the first tremors started. These aliens want to reach the core. They will have to go through us." Felt a surge of pride. Even now, even facing impossible odds, humanity refused to give up. "Hold them as long as you can," he said. "We will end this battle above and then send reinforcements." "Understood, Commander. We will not let you down." The landing craft descended through Earth's atmosphere, their hulls glowing from the heat of re-entry. Inside each one sat warriors who had conquered dozens of worlds. They expected resistance. They expected a fight. They did not expect what they found. Soldiers waited in the ruins of an underwater research station, now transformed into a fortress by the Guardian Corps' awakening. They had conventional weapons, nothing that could compare to technology, but they had something else. They had home ground, they had preparation, and they had absolutely nothing left to lose. The first wave of aliens stepped onto the ocean floor and walked straight into a killing field. Above the planet, Admiral made a decision. The space battle was lost. His fleet was being torn apart by weapons that should not exist, but there was still a chance. All remaining ships, concentrate fire on the shield over the Pacific Ocean, he ordered. Create an opening. I am going down personally. His officers protested. The admiral could not risk himself. It was suicide. Silence them with a look. I have conquered 47 worlds. I will not be stopped by this one. If we cannot win from orbit, then I will walk into the heart of that planet and tear it out with my own hands. He boarded his personal assault craft and descended toward Earth. Behind him, his dying fleet gave everything they had to punch a hole through the Guardian's shields. In the core chamber, tracked the incoming craft. She felt the shield weakening over the Pacific just for a moment, just long enough. He is coming, she said. The Admiral himself, he is heading straight for us. Felt cold determination settle into his bones. The fate of humanity was about to be decided, not in the stars, but in the depths of their own world. Then we will be ready for him, he said. Guardian, prepare everything you have. This ends here. Admiral moved through the ancient corridors with his elite guard, 30 of the finest warriors the Empire had ever produced. They had fought through Sargent's defensive lines, leaving destruction in their wake. Many soldiers had fallen on both sides but pressed forward. Nothing would stop him now. The walls around them pulsed with golden light. Strange symbols covered every surface, writing from a civilization that had died before species had learned to walk upright. He felt small here, smaller than he had ever felt in his life, but he pushed that feeling aside. The power source is ahead, one of his officers reported. We are close. Then we finish this, said. They entered the Guardian core chamber and stopped. Even, who had seen wonders across 1,000 worlds, could not hide his amazement. The vast space stretched beyond sight, filled with crystal pillars and floating platforms. And at the center, surrounded by light, sat the humans who had dared to defy his empire. Saw them enter. She felt their presence through her connection to the planet itself. 30 aliens with weapons that could tear through steel. Against them stood only a handful of exhausted defenders. And his remaining soldiers took positions among the crystal pillars. They were wounded, tired down to their last ammunition, but they stood firm. You cannot win, announced, his voice echoing through the chamber. Your fleet is broken. Your defenses are crumbling. Surrender now, and I will grant your species a quick death. Stepped forward from his platform. Energy crackled around him, visible proof of his bond with the Guardian core. We do not surrender, he said. We never have, we never will. Brave words from a dying species. Perhaps, but we are not dying today. Reached deeper into his connection with the weapons systems. He pushed harder than he had ever pushed before, demanding more power, more energy. Warning signals flooded his mind. The strain was killing him. He did not care. Guardian, he said, I need everything you have, right now, everything. Commander, your body cannot handle that level of power. You will burn out. I know, do it anyway. The Guardian core hesitated. In 65 million years, no one had ever asked it to sacrifice an operator this way, but it understood. Some things were worth dying for. Power surged through his body. His eyes glowed golden. His voice became thunder. Above the planet, the remaining ships detected an impossible energy spike. Before they could react, beams of pure light lanced out from Earth's surface. The Conqueror's Will, flagship of the 7th Subjugation Fleet, exploded in a ball of fire visible from every continent. In the core chamber, collapsed. Screamed, tried to reach him through their connection but felt only silence. The weapons platforms went dark. But the damage was done. Without their flagship, the fleet lost coordination. Ships crashed into each other. Commands conflicted. The mighty armada became a confused mob. Felt his empire dying through his command link. Thousands of his warriors gone in seconds. His flagship destroyed. His fleet scattered. "No," he whispered. "No, this cannot be." Stood from her platform. She was exhausted, drained, barely able to move. But she walked toward the alien admiral with steady steps. "I want to show you something," she said. Through her connection to the Guardian Core, she projected images into the air around them. The same images had seen, the architects, their glory, their fall. "Your empire is not the first to believe it could conquer everything," said. "The architects thought the same thing. They were far more powerful than you. They ruled this galaxy for billions of years, and they destroyed themselves." Watched the images of destruction, worlds burning, civilizations ending, the greatest species the galaxy had ever known reduced to nothing. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because you are making the same mistake. Conquest is a dead end. It always ends the same way. In fire, in death, in nothing." "And what would you have us do instead?" Thought of her home, her family, the billions of people on the surface who were still alive because the Guardian had protected them, because had given everything. "Protect," she said. "Build, help others grow instead of crushing them. That is what the architects learned too late. That is why they built the Guardians, not to conquer, to protect." The chamber fell silent, looked at his fallen soldiers, at the ancient technology around him, at the human woman who had just watched her commander die. "You are asking me to abandon everything my species believes in." "I am asking you to survive. Your fleet is gone. Your empire will hear about this defeat. Other species will rise up. You can fight them all and die, or you can change." Outside the chamber, and his soldiers had captured the remaining warriors. The battle was over. Earth had won. Lowered his weapon. "I will return to my empire," he said. "I will tell them what I have seen here. What happens next is beyond my control. That is all I ask." The Guardian Corps' voice filled the chamber, weak but clear. "The threat has passed. The enemy fleet is retreating. Earth is safe." Rushed to his side. He was breathing barely. The strain had nearly killed him, but somehow he had survived. "You did it," she whispered. "You saved us." He opened his eyes and managed a weak smile. "We did it, all of us, together." The following weeks brought changes no one could have imagined. Earth revealed its true nature to humanity. The planet was not just their home, it was their ship, their weapon, their guardian. With the Guardian Corps' guidance, they learned to travel between stars. They discovered other young worlds, species just beginning their journey toward the stars, species that needed protection. On the first day of their new mission, Commander Park stood on the bridge of Earth itself. He had recovered from his wounds, though the Guardian had warned him never to push that hard again. Around him stood his team, at sensors, at defensive systems, at engineering, translating the Guardian's ancient wisdom. And beside them, something unexpected. An observer, sent by a reforming empire to learn a new way of existing among the stars. Guardian said, "Where do we go first?" The holographic display lit up with star charts. One system glowed brighter than the others. A small blue world, home to a young species just discovering fire. Above them, a hostile fleet gathered. "There," the Guardian Corps replied. "They need us." Looked at his crew. They had been scientists and pilots and soldiers. Now they were something more, guardians of the innocent, protectors of the weak. "Take us there," he ordered. The planet Earth moved through space for the first time in 65 million years. Its ancient engines hummed with power. Its weapons stood ready. Its shields glowed with golden light. And inside it, humanity set off on their greatest adventure, not to conquer, not to destroy, but to protect, to give young civilizations the chance that the architects had given them. The galaxy was vast and dark and full of dangers, but it was also full of hope. And wherever that hope was threatened, wherever the innocent faced destruction, Earth would be there. The Guardian had awakened, and its children had finally grown up.